Many years ago, fishermen along the coast of China's Fuzhou City used to use an archipelago near the estuary of the Min River as a temporary shelter and relief from storms. Gradually, they began to settle here, bringing the architecture and language of their homeland, as well as their faith and beliefs, to the islands. Matsu is a string of islands near the coast of the Chinese mainland. Because of the presence of the military, its past is shrouded in mystery, like the mists that blanket the islands from March to May. On November 7, 1992, its military mission was terminated, and the public finally had a chance to explore this mysterious chain of islands. Its primitive and rustic beauty was praised as the utopia on the high seas, and its rich and diverse cultural background and natural environment make it a precious national asset. Its top-secret military fortifications also give visitors a glimpse into its previously unknown secrets of modern war history. Because of these unique characteristics, Matsu was officially declared a National Scenic Area in 1999. The Matsu National Scenic Area Administration was set up to promote Matsu's beauty to the world and transform it into an up-and-coming tourist destination. Whether you're taking the plane or the ferry from Geelong, you can easily find your way to Matsu. Ships are scheduled to and from the biggest townships of Matsu and coastal cities on the Chinese mainland. The closely linked transportation options make traveling between Matsu and mainland China convenient. Currently, the Matsu National Scenic Area Administration has set up visitor centers in the towns of Beigan, Nangan, Dongyin, and Zhuguang to provide visitors with tourist information and services. At the same time, the administration took Matsu's existing highlights and created the Dongyin and Zhuguang recreational area by linking 4 themed attractions together: the Greater Beihai Recreational Area, Matsu's Spiritual Area, Banli Wuxia Recreational Area, and Peace Memorial Park. First-time visitors can now navigate and experience Matsu like never before. In the past, that secret period of its history made Matsu a complicated and mysterious place. Today, we will set out to explore Matsu by following the routes set up by the Matsu National Scenic Area Administration. During the tense military era, officers on the front line developed large-scale underground fortifications to conceal their overall fighting capabilities. Today, Matsu has the highest density of battle-ready underground fortifications in the world. Among Matsu's many underground construction projects, the Beihai project of the 1960s is the largest. In an era of extremely limited supplies, the Army used rudimentary tools against the hard rock. This seemingly impossible mission continued for 820 days and nights, non-stop. The Army excavated large-scale underground tunnels at Nangan, Beigan, and Dongyin. Because they were products of the Beihai Project, these tunnels were aptly named the Beihai Tunnels. These areas used to be highly strategic military bases. With the termination of Matsu's battlefield status, a portion of these places have been demilitarized and opened to the public after being restructured by the Matsu National Scenic Area Administration. Do you want to explore the secret military life of the underground soldiers? Come to Matsu. However, these underground tunnels are not a complete picture of Matsu as a battlefield. In order to enliven and diversify Matsu's military experience, the Matsu National Scenic Area Administration provides special boat trips through Nangan's Beihai Tunnel. To create an even more unique experience, not only can the visitors board authentic wooden fishing boats to relive the past in a Matsu fishing village, they can also get a glimpse of the underground piers of the Beihai Project. Going through war, walking towards peace is the portrait of today's cross-strait relations. The Peace Memorial Park, located in Beigan, links together the two eras of war and peace. The park consists of 3 military sites, the 06, 08, and 12 strongholds. Although the tanks, forts, and machine guns here are no longer operational, their heroic appearance reminds us of their firm will to defend the country back then. The park's themes are moving memories, which tell the stories and hardships of frontline soldiers and civilians. This offers a valuable historical perspective to those accustomed to having ample food and clothing and living safely away from the front lines. The Nangan Artillery Line is where Matsu's active military stronghold is opened to the outside world. Since the Army is still stationed here, it is currently only open to Taiwanese citizens who have made reservations. Do you want to see the real military power of the soldiers defending the front lines? Do you want to learn the strict discipline behind the words, "Fight the fight, serve your duty"? Then come here to experience it through shock education. From battlefield relics to today's military drills, from old guns on display to the active weapons and equipment, Matsu continues to extend the life of the battlefield. Not only does it give you a true military experience, safely ready for battle and protecting its lives of the citizens, Matsu will always bring unexpected amazement. This is the legendary Matsu battlefield. The homeland of these stone-stacked houses is on the other side of the Taiwan Strait. Several hundred years ago, residents from the Lianjiang and Zhangde areas of China's Fujian province brought their architectural style to Matsu. This became the prototype of Matsu's traditional architecture and gave Matsu's granite surface a very different style. The Lianjiang County government and the Matsu National Scenic Area Administration has taken over the restoration and preservation work on Matsu's unique buildings since 1999. And Matsu's traditional villages are gradually regaining their former glory. Because residents rely on the great ocean to make their living, buildings are clustered at the mouths of bays. Due to rugged terrain, homes are built alongside and on mountains and hills. This naturally forms the style of a typical village in which buildings face the water with their backs to the mountain. Each village has their own entrance to the bay. Although these clusters of stone houses have seen many changes in its residents and surroundings, prehistoric man had already quietly begun their lives in Matsu as early as 6,000 years ago, when those stones were still a part of the landscape. With the presence of an immortal, this small island can retain its spirit. According to legend, in Matsu, there is a fishing village located in a valley where there are more gods than residents. In the small village, there are 8 different temples. This is Matsu's most famous temple village and is a perfect example of Matsu's polytheism. Over thousands of years, most people here, whether they were the result of a military occupation or bandits causing trouble, were often just fleeting passerbys in Matsu's history. But there is one woman, Matsu, whose filial piety moved the world and who ascended to heaven to become an immortal legend. The 9th day of the 9th month of the lunar calendar was the day when Matsu ascended to heaven. Matsu residents hold the Matsu Ascension Day to honor her spirit of self-sacrifice and compassion. Today, Matsu is at the religious heart of hundreds of millions of people. The Matsu Islands were named after the goddess Matsu, and while many Matsu residents worship the sea goddess, they still retain the cultural diversity of respecting ancestors, ghosts, and gods. The many temples dedicated to different deities can be seen everywhere. Matsu's traditional custom of Bai Ming is still the most important festival for local residents. Bai Ming is the tradition of laying out offerings to the gods in the temple overnight. It is a folk custom originating from early Fuzhou villages. During the Lantern Festival, Matsu natives return home and take part in processions to welcome the gods, to drive away filth, welcome good fortune, and pray for peace. During Bai Ming, the lonely islands become enlivened and noisy. Loud firecrackers and colorful lanterns swaying in the wind cross the dark sea to bring news of the prosperity and well-being of the residents to their ancestors. In 1956, Matsu changed from a simple fishing community into a military powerhouse overnight. Its role as a military fortress to defend against opposing forces meant that it would become ravaged by enemy fire and a place of death. Fortunately, however, Matsu never experienced large-scale confrontations against opposing forces. Nearly 40 years of military control has spared the islands from human development and habitat destruction, preserving Matsu's rare ecological purity. In addition, in order to achieve strategic objectives, the ROC Army engaged in afforestation for long periods of time. Large areas of forests replaced the former site of wild grass growing everywhere, laying a much more solid foundation for Matsu's natural environment. Although the quality of the soil in Matsu is relatively poor, it is capable of sustaining fast-growing reforestation plants, as well as a unique endemic species known as Lycoris springeri, also called Matsu stone garlic or tie-dye surprise lily. Matsu is the only place in Taiwan where one can see wild red spider and tie-dye surprise lilies. Every year around September, the fiery red spider lilies and tie-dye surprise lilies blossom everywhere. Even though the soil only has a limited amount of nutrients, this green cloak of vegetation covering Matsu still uses colorful flowers to show off the vitality of the land. Casually, they burst quietly with the colors of life, changing the appearance of the islands. Matsu seems like a lonely island in the sea, but a group of old friends, terns, visit the island annually from April to September. Why has Matsu, a military stronghold, become a stopping ground for terns? The main reason is because there is very little human presence or interference. Every year in spring and summer, terns gather here not only to rest and feed, but also to use Matsu as their home and breeding ground. Have you noticed something different about these beautiful figures? Some of these birds resemble the greater crested tern, but with a dash of gray and black on their beaks. Yes, it is the legendary Chinese crested tern. There are less than 50 of these birds in the whole world, and the species is listed as a critically endangered species. To preserve this rare species, Bianjiang County has designated the Matsu Islands a bird sanctuary in the hopes of preserving these beautiful birds with human protection. In recent years, the Matsu National Scenic Area Administration provides seasonal tours to view the terns. These tours have already become a popular tourist activity. Visitors are not only able to view the terns in their natural habitat, but they can also enjoy a glimpse of Matsu's spectacular coastal geology from the tour boat. Or one can also participate in the annual viewing of Dongyin from the sea, to gain a different perspective on the beauty of the Matsu Islands. In addition, by taking a boat from northern Beigan to Dachau Island, visitors can see the terns in the bird sanctuary from across the sea. Once on the island, visitors might also run into the Formosan sika deer, which is quite a pleasant surprise. This is a common sight and sound in Matsu. The fishing industry is at the root of life in Matsu. Because the islands are surrounded by the sea on all sides, it is well suited to catch a varied selection of seafood. Matsu residents have come up with a variety of seafood-related cuisine. In earlier times, the fishing industry thrived, and Matsu developed a food culture that states, "The ocean is my pantry." Matsu wines are another facet of Matsu's industries. The brewing of old wines were originally a part of daily life for villagers. Today's Matsu distillery is a product of its military past. The old wines made here are rich in aroma and flavor, suitable for cooking. Matsu Galliang must be aged at least 5 years before it can be sold. Although it is not as strong as Jinmen's Galliang, Matsu Galliang is much more mellow and rich. Seafood products, fine wine, and red yeast are the three main components of Matsu's food culture. Although they all have different historical backgrounds, the three ingredients, when combined, elicit bursts of flavor pleasing to the taste buds. Simple yet rich, this is the legendary taste of Matsu. Flying over the oceans on the wings of the legendary 4 townships across 5 islands, we can relax under Matsu's skies. The previously restricted island has now opened its arms and welcomes everyone to explore its island paradise. Walking into a village, the breathing houses seem alive. Traditional homes have been converted into bed and breakfast inns. Breathe in the outdoors with a vista from every window. Be inspired by the brand new interpretation of the one bay for every village philosophy. Stroll around leisurely with the sea as your companion. If not for the passing slogans, visitors might completely forget Matsu's military past. The battlefield has enriched Matsu, and it has nurtured a new kind of vitality. The rich abundance from the sea paved the way to the Matsu Juguang Clam Festival, spreading happiness and laughter to every corner of Juguang. The repeating cycle of life brings the sight of the precious tern to visitors from all over. The traditional life, customs, and religious beliefs give visitors the best way to understand Matsu's traditional culture. Making old wine, a tradition of Matsu's food and drink culture, has led to the hands-on winemaking experience under the guidance of the Matsu National Scenic Area Administration. A myriad of interesting stories are taking place on Matsu's 4 townships across 5 islands. Today's Matsu offers you a unique island experience. If you want a quiet place to listen to the sounds of the earth and enjoy a bit of leisure by yourself, if you want to experience unparalleled masterpieces of nature and enjoy delicious food and wine, simply come with an open heart, and all of your wishes will become beautiful memories in Matsu. Matsu is a chain of islands at the northern border of Taiwan. Its stories will continue to be told forever and accompanied by the tranquil sound of waves.
真正的笑容等待你来拥抱，我们有热情的生命力，惊喜的美食，花舞的四季，台湾处处感动你，这是蝴蝶飞翔的美丽岛屿，亚洲之星在这里，感受属于你的跳动，台湾之星连你心。台湾 Formosa, the heart of Asia. The time for Taiwan is now. Taiwan Formosa, the heart of Asia. The time for you is now. Life and love can't wait. 台湾的心为你敞开。台湾 opens its heart to you. Oh, oh, oh. Formosa, the heart of Asia. Time for Taiwan is now. Taiwan, Formosa, the heart of Asia. Time for you is now. Life and love can't wait. 台湾的心为你敞开。Taiwan opens its heart to